Good morning. That was fast. Normally it takes a long time for someone to see. You guys are either waiting in the wings or Facebook is being a little quicker than normal. Excuse me. Say hello. Let me know who you are, why you're here. You know. I'm excited to see you guys today. And they changed my screen again. They're always changing things. We're just going to wait a few seconds for more people to jump on. Let me know where you're from. Say hi. I'd love to see where you guys are from. Okay, why can't I see that? There's comments and I can't see them. What did you do to me, Facebook? That's weird. Very weird. That you guys are making comments. I can see. I can see that you're making comments, but they're not showing up. Hold on. Well, let me see if I can see them on my phone. I'll just watch it there if I have to. Give me one moment, please. I don't want to miss you guys. Excuse me. I'll probably have to shut myself off. Most comments ever, and I can't even see them. Okay, hi, Tina. Oh, wait. Nope, that's the wrong Facebook Live. If you are here again today, Tina. Hi, Tina. Moment, please. Okay. I don't want to miss you guys. Now I gotta shut that off. Excuse me. I don't know how to do that. Okay, here we go. Hey, Shane, how's it going? I was thinking about you the other day. You can be expecting something in the mail, I do believe. Hi, Carly from Wisconsin. I have no idea what's going on with Facebook. It's kind of annoying. Hey, Brent. Do you guys need rain? If it's not raining, do you need rain? Hi, Brandy. Hi, Heidi from Oklahoma. Hope it is nice down there. Okay, that's all I am seeing on this. That's all I'm seeing on my Facebook Live thing here. It says that I have 9. But that's not 9. All right. Well. Okay, for those of you, I am going to have to look at my phone today, so I apologize for having to look down. Oh, there's another one. Hi, Erica. For those of you that are new, I'm typically not this unorganized. Oh, geez. Facebook. They're changing stuff on me all the time. But for those of you that are new, I am Mary Jo Irmen, and I am the author of Farming Without the Bank and Life Without the Bank. I teach what is called the infinite banking concept, which is also written in the book Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. Um, any of those books you can get on my website, Farming Without the Bank, or you can go to withoutthebank.com and grab the books there too. So every week we talk about clients I've seen for the week, what we've gone over, some strategies that we used, just whatever I did for the week. Apparently people find this awesome. So here I am again on Friday morning talking about it. So let's get started because we are already 8 minutes late due to Facebook changes. I don't get it, but whatever. Okay, I had a couple meetings this week, again, that I had, I met with these people. One of them I've met with probably 6 or 7 years ago, and the other one I met with a couple of years ago. Oh, and before I forget, if you guys find this useful and informational and you like it, please share it. That's awesome. I appreciate that. So the one that I met with like 6 years ago, his son was in the military and not home farming with him yet. And so now his son is home farming with him. And it's just a better time to have met, figure out what's going on. But he read the book 6 years ago. He's not listened to any podcasts. From what I can tell, he's not reread the book. He just said, yep, I get it. I'm tired of paying interest to the bank. This is how much I'm paying. This is how much I'm borrowing every year. This is how much is going to interest at the bank. So I can appreciate that we always want to save interest and we want it to come back to us. But I am also very quick to clarify that when you are borrowing money from a life insurance policy, you are paying interest to the bank. So it doesn't matter if you are paying interest to the bank or if you're paying interest to the insurance company or you're paying interest to me because I lent you money. That interest is gone. When you take a loan from the insurance company keeps the interest. The key here and why we use the policy is because our money never left the account and it's earning interest. Is it a long-term offset? Yes. Is it a short-term offset? Not necessarily. If you're borrowing money from the insurance company, you still can write that off as an expense if your accountant agrees with that. Because if you use that money for farming or business expenses, that interest is going to be an expense. Okay? But don't think, oh, I just don't have any interest going anywhere and I recover all of that. In Nelson's book, if you guys have read Becoming Your Own Banker, it is a little bit confusing because Nelson shows interest going into the cash value and increasing cash value. That was extra interest above and beyond what the insurance company charged him. So we have to make sure that we're getting this whole picture, that this is not some scam. This is just how it works. But if we're earning interest and we didn't interrupt that money, that's a huge deal. And I talked about the interruption thing last week. I have a podcast coming on about it because it really, really is a huge, huge factor in all of this. But his comment right away that I want to keep that interest, you're getting, yes, it's a mutual company. Yes, we're getting a dividend, but not all of that interest is going to come back to you. So I don't want people to misunderstand that. In this particular scenario as well, we talked about him transitioning the farm. And because I know when I talked to him 7 years ago, he didn't have the farm. Then dad passed away. Then mom passed away. And so now he's had the farm for 5 years, I believe. And it's a hard conversation to have because he just got it himself and he's 60. So now we have it, but all of a sudden I'm saying sell it. But we talked about if we can transition to the son so that he owns it and he will have collateral. You don't have to sell it all at once. You know, if he sold all of it, that's a lot of acres. The son can't even afford it all. However, if he were to just sell a piece at a time, at least the son is going to have some money coming in. If we, and I went over this last week as well in my Facebook Live, if we charge a higher interest rate and a lower principal, we don't have as many capital gains. On this side, the sooner he sells it, the less capital gains, right? On whatever pieces he sells. The son then asked the same question that I got emailed last week after my Facebook Live. Well, Mary Jo, if I buy it at a lower basis, which is the cost per acre, if I buy it at a lower cost per acre, when I sell it, I'm going to have to pay capital gains. Great question. Are you going to sell it the same way you bought it? Or are you going to go back and reverse that and sell it for the highest amount per acre? If you can sell it at a higher interest rate and keep that price per acre low, then you shouldn't have to be doing that either. Right? So just because it shouldn't hurt you if you're doing it the same way. Now, in this scenario, this guy, the son doesn't have kids yet. And I said, and even if you don't have a child to sell it to, that doesn't mean that you can't sell it to somebody else the same way. Right? There's no law that says it can only go to family and that you can only finance family. If you're going to owner finance somebody, then owner finance anybody. Or if you're going to owner finance a kid, owner finance anybody. If somebody's been renting from you forever, why are you so scared to owner finance them? If they've made their rent payment every year for however many years, why are we scared to owner finance them? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. I do not see, if anybody is commenting anything new, I am not seeing that. The next one, she has an off the farm business that she owns, and they ranch. They're not doing a lot of ranching anymore. They are leasing the majority of it out. However, the husband had a off the farm job for 40 years or something like that. So he's got a lot of money in retirement, early 60s, not quite 65 yet to take it. But I asked her if they're having to pay in taxes, and she said yes. So here's just a little side note. I don't love it when people say, and I say it myself, and I try to catch myself, are you in tax trouble? I don't want to pay taxes more than the next guy. And don't even get me started on taxes, and that's just plain stealing. But is it really tax trouble that we have to pay in? Or is it really just awesomeness that we have to pay in? We made money. Thank God that we made money. If we prepare to make money, we write our check to the IRS, right? I did not enjoy writing my check to the IRS. I did not enjoy it in the least. But thank God I made money. I am happy to have tax trouble. So, are you in tax trouble? Yeah, I'm in tax trouble. I made money. No, you're almost blessed with taxes. Can we, and maybe that'll make them actually sound, maybe that makes the thievery sound better. Oh, I got a whole podcast on that coming up too. Trying to calm myself to do that podcast because there's gonna be some German passion in there. For those of you that are new, I am 100% German, and so Germans get a little bit heated, so I call it German passion. But she's in tax trouble, And I said, well, it's just going to get worse because she's making over $100,000 a year on her income. That's not her net, but that's her gross. They are leasing out the ground, so they have lease income coming in. They don't hardly have any cows, so there's not a lot of expenses. But he hasn't even touched his retirement plan. And guess what happens there? He's going to start pulling money from there, and at 72, regardless if he needs it or not, he's going to have to take some required minimum distribution. So people that have barely gotten by their entire life and saved, kudos to you, because now at retirement, we are going to tax the crap out of you, and now you're going to have to find some write-offs. So, if you have an off-the-farm job and you're sticking a lot of money there, I ask why. Because it's going to come to you taxable. He hasn't gotten Social Security. She hasn't gotten Social Security yet. That's all ordinary income. And then she's going to keep working and keep her business going. And then they're going to have to pay taxes on the Social Security. Yes. Google it. If you make over a certain amount, you have to pay tax on your Social Security. And there's different levels of how much you pay tax on. You already pay tax on it, but you're going to pay tax again. So for her, it was a matter of, what are we going to be doing? Are you going to stop working? How are we going to switch that money over? Who's getting the farm or who's getting the ranch? Is it the son that's getting the ranch? Is it one of the kids? Is it going to be divided equally? What's going to happen there? There was no answer in that situation. I had another guy. This was a very awesome scenario. And if you have been listening to me on my Facebook Lives, or if you go back and listen to the Facebook Lives, you can find them on YouTube as well. But if you go back and listen to the Facebook Lives, you are going to see that this actually happens more than one would think. But I have a young guy who is helping a farm or working for a farmer, and this farmer is mentoring him. So the farmer's son passed away in an accident, and the daughters don't want anything to do with the farm. So this farmer is being so awesome, and he is mentoring this young guy, and this young guy, they have an arrangement, a verbal arrangement at this point, that says you will get to lease this land basically the rest of his life. And the daughters know it. The mom is in agreement with it. Everybody is just super awesome. They are allowing him to use their equipment to farm some of his own stuff. He's got his own operating. The thing with them is that he still needs to somewhat protect himself, even though everybody in this scenario is okay today. Everybody's okay. Everybody gets along. It's been years, which is amazing. But at the same time, it would be smart if he had life insurance on the farmer. Well, the farmer's uninsurable. So now we have to go to the farmer's wife. And he did bring this up to him, and he said, I don't think that it's going to be a problem. So I do think that we're going to try to put some insurance on the farmer's wife if it can financially make sense for him. He is only 23. They got another baby on the way. He wants to buy a place because the house, he's even getting a house to live in there. And that house is just a little bit small for the number of kids that they have. So there's some changes that might happen. So we have to look at all of that, and can he afford a premium if he's going to buy some of his own land and have his own place. So he's not expecting to just get stuff handed to him. He's not expecting to be able to buy it. He is just okay with where he's at and super grateful for the fact that he has a mentor. He did not grow up in a farming operation. I don't think. He comes from like a lot of kids. his dad, I think his dad works off the farm, but they have some land. But anyway, he's not going to get any of that. And it really is, I just love to see it because there are farmers out there that will mentor you. There are farmers out there that don't have any heirs to pass it off to, and they truly want the farm to keep going. Then on your side, if you are the mentee, we go into that expecting nothing and working our butt off, right? If they are truly good people, they will do what needs to be done so that you can keep farming it, which is exactly what's happening here. Is it always going to be roses every single day? No. And none of my farmers that this has happened to, because there's a lot of them, they have all said it's not been roses every single day, right? We all get into a position where we go, well, geez, I could be making more, or I could have this, or I could have that. And we have to evaluate the whole thing before we lose our temper and start yelling and getting mad at each other and ruining that relationship. Keeping that line of communication open is huge so that people don't get mad at each other. That's all the good stuff on him. But at the end of the day, keep your eye open for those situations. It's not always going to work, but they're out there more than we think, and I am seeing them more and more and more, which makes me super happy. Another one that this was an interesting, I actually don't come across these very often, but this was an interesting scenario. So here we have a operation where we were farming, we were ranching, we had a dairy, and that was losing money. We had a lot of bad debt that needed to be termed out. So instead, they regrouped, changed everything quite a few years ago, and they are buying cattle and then selling them to a feedlot to finish them off. So they buy them, they feed them to a certain weight, then they sell them to somebody else to finish them off. Well, what is interesting in this scenario is the loans. Most people think I'm super hard on the banks and that I hate the bankers. Well, if you've listened to me, you understand I do not hate bankers. We use them sometimes to our advantage. But in this situation, yeah, I'm not going to like this banker very much. Because we're wrapping shit together that shouldn't be wrapped together. It's unbelievable. The loans are super high interest rates. They didn't term them out as long as I think that they could have, and I think that they can do that because I've seen other people do it. Right? So we've done really short notes to make the payment so high that it's almost like we're purposely squeezing them to the point of, gee, maybe we'll get some land out of the deal, right? Like sometimes you can just smell the corruption in a bank that somebody inside is buying land in the background. And that crap happens. And it happens here locally where I'm at. And so that is the kind of stuff that just gets my goat. So in this situation, on top of that, they have an agreement with the bank. We're going to buy cattle. And when we do that, a certain amount of the income, or when they sell, whatever, a certain amount of the income comes so that they have money to feed out that group of calves. Well, guess what? The bank decides that they're going to keep that money. Where is that written, right? So what I love is that they have another family member that's a banker. So he calls the bank and says, where is that written in the loan agreement? Oh, no, and the banker stumbles. He's like, show me where it's written in the loan agreement. Oh, we just decided we're going to do that. If they're making their payments, you decided what? Unbelievable. This is why I don't like banks. Because once in a while, not all the time, it's rare, that you are going to see the corruption. And so my advice to them was pre-sell those cattle. Before before you deliver them, you get the money for them. You then don't have to go to the bank for the operating money because you've sold them before you've even delivered them. And I have had other cattle buyers that do this, and this is very interesting to me. It's very interesting that ranchers would do this. But if you have a relationship with the cattle buyer and you can trust that he's going to be delivering cattle, he's going to be delivering stockers, whatever, you know they're going to come in, you know they're going to be good because we've got this long-time relationship. Ask to have the buyer prepay. Now we can cut down how much we need that bank, right? The other thing is to get a backbone and say to the banker, no, this is not okay. Now they're in a position where they say no other bank wants us. Don't they? Have you checked? Have you worked your buns off to figure out if there is another bank or another way to do something? It's easy to go to the local bank. It's hard to switch banks. It's hard to do anything else. But when we're in a situation like this, we got to do something because I am smelling nastiness. And there is a banker lurking that wants them to fail in the worst way. Here's another thing that happened to them is they are the nice guy. The nice guy does not win in these situations. They sold cattle and the guy did not pay them because he obviously didn't have the money. So they wait and all they got paid was the extra interest that they got charged. Oh no, that's not how that game plays out. If you don't pay me, then you're going to get charged the extra interest and a fee on top of it all. Because guess what? When they didn't have that money, the good old banker came in and said, well, you can't buy any more cattle because you didn't make a loan payment. Until that guy pays you off, I'm not letting you buy any more cattle. What generates cash flow? Being able to buy cattle. Seriously? There has to be a penalty associated with the fact that you gave me money late. And if they take the money in advance, they don't have to worry about somebody screwing them and not paying them, right? This is absolutely craziness. And this is and the notes are fishy. Everything about this whole situation is pretty fishy. And now I like to normally say, you know what, I'm only getting one side of the story. I don't know what happened in the past. I don't know how they run their operation. I don't know some of those things. But they have an office manager that was there that sits in on all these meetings as well. And so when you've got more than one person telling you kind of the same story, you tend to believe the person telling you the story. And like I said, I don't see it a lot. Typically, this is the kind of crap that I see happen in Montana. I don't know why Montana clients tend to have banks that are putting a bunch of stuff in one note, but I absolutely hate it when a bank rolls like 5, 6, 7 things into one note. What's getting paid down? Are they applying it correctly? They're just taking money as soon as you deposit it in the bank. Where is that getting applied to? Are you keeping a spreadsheet to say this is where it's been applied to? Are you keeping your books? In that situation, you better be keeping your books. You better be asking a lot of questions. You better be asking for printouts of how this stuff is applied. I have seen it where a bank will roll a bunch of stuff into a note and create a higher note because there's so much stuff coming in it that the farmer can't even keep track of it. So he just says, you know what, I'm just going to trust him. Oh, heck no. You don't trust anybody. You get an itemized what is in there. How much did we move over? What did I owe on it? What? Don't just let the bank finagle numbers. No, 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 no. Mm-mm. You walk in there with a backbone. And if they want to get rid of you, then you go find another bank. You guys have heard me say, I have clients that are willing to sell land to get out of a situation like this and start over. And sometimes, just sometimes, you may have to do that. But you saved most of what you had, or some of what you had, versus losing all of it to a nasty, snaky bank. Horrible. We can't do anything on them right now. It is just, there's no money to do anything. But we talked about some very creative strategies of, can we open a different account? Can we put the money in there? We're going to ask the banker for X, Y, and Z. Right? I don't know how that all works. She needs to talk to her attorney. She needs to talk to her accountant. What happens if they get paid in advance? Is that going to work? Is the bank going to take it? Can it go into a different account? I don't know. Okay. Oh, look. Look at all these other messages I've not seen. You guys. I'm sorry if my Facebook is not sending me messages today. Okay, let me see before I move on. Hey, Bruce. What are you doing in Dallas? Hi, Jim from Wisconsin. We got a couple people from Wisconsin this morning. No, not German Passion. Bruce. It is German Passion. Hi, Jack's Creek. It's happening in Georgia that they're doing the same crap with loans. Is that what you're talking about? Hi, David. Yes, we're supposed to get snow again today. So, yay for that, I guess. I can't see everything. I don't know what is going on here. Okay, the next one. Oh, here we go. Now I can see him. Let's see who I missed quick. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Erica. Okay, I may have said hi to you guys already, but I don't think so. Next one, we have a young gal that is farming with her boyfriend and his dad. Farming, like, we're talking a few cows. They do her and her boyfriend have a few cows. They do some direct beef. And then they have maple syrup, hazelnuts, and there was something else that she was doing. But what was interesting there is that she's kind of the risk taker. She's the one that's willing to say, hey, you know what? Hazelnuts are a good idea. I'm going to research that, and I'm going to put some trees down. And so she's buying the trees kind of with her money. And yes, they've dated for quite a while, but they're not married, right? And so I'm like, you need to make sure that you're not putting trees down on some land that, what are you going to do with your trees later if that's your income? And so you need to just, think about that. Their policy is obviously going to be really small. Just because she's super young, couple part-time jobs, nothing full-time yet. And they're just kind of getting started. They don't have a lot of loans, though. A lot of what they're doing is cash. Some student loans. But at the end of the day, we can start something just gonna be small, like $4,000 a year small. But it's going to be a great start for them because they are not, they're not huge. But the maple syrup, they've been doing that for a couple of years. And now somebody came to them and said, hey, I've got trees. We're not doing it anymore. Do you want my spigots? I think they're called. Do you want my spigots? So now they're doubling the amount of maple syrup they're doing, which means they need to buy some different equipment to get the water off the syrup and then boil it down. I learned a lot about maple syrup, which was super fun. And I learned a little bit about hazelnuts. Not as much as I would like. I'm going to have to do my own research. But it was super, super fun to learn about maple syrup. I did not know that it was boiled down. I thought it came out of the tree and they bottled it and away we went. I don't know why I thought that. You don't do that with honey. But no, there's stuff I don't know. So it was good to learn. But that was really interesting to hear that process, what they need for equipment, and just how it's done, really. I mean, it's kind of like honey. You just tap your tree and you just give people syrup in exchange for that. It's kind of like honey. They give you honey in exchange for putting the bees on your property. Another one that and here's the other thing. She sent me an email afterwards and said, thanks for the meeting, Mary Jo. It was fun. It wasn't nearly as intimidating as I thought it would be. So, you guys, I get this sometimes that people are nervous to talk to me. I am not. It's just me. It's just me. Just because I'm on this little Facebook thingy and, I have a podcast, that doesn't mean that, I'm any different than anybody else. And so, don't put me on some pedestal. It's just me. Ask my clients that are on here. I mean, don't be scared to talk to me. I don't know everything. I am far from knowing everything. She was in her 20s and I was learning stuff from her. It was exciting. So, yes, I may have some ideas and some strategies, but by all means, I am not untouchable. Don't be nervous. Okay, and then we have another one. This was fun. She's got an operation with her dad. But times were tough. So she built a wedding venue in a barn. So the wedding venue is meant to bring in extra income, and it did, except 2020 when their state got shut down. But she said to start the wedding venue, it did cost, took some time and cost some money. But it's interesting. That wedding venue is making her some sweet cash. And her, most people when they have wedding venues, because I have other people that are doing the exact same thing. I bet I've talked to 5 or 6 different farm operations that have turned their barns into wedding venues. Or retreats or whatever. And it's really a big deal right now because everybody wants the farmhouse look, They want that. They don't necessarily want to have the venue in the hotels. But she's pretty smart about the fact that she rents it for the weekend. Instead of having 2 or 3 2 weddings a weekend, she has 1. And she rents it for the whole weekend. So she ends up charging just a little bit more. But she said it's awesome because the brides aren't nearly as stressed because now they can get in there. If the wedding's on Friday, they can get in there or weddings on Saturday, they can get in on Friday to do what they want. They can have their groom's supper there. So what a great idea to just reduce her stress, reduce the bride's stress, and make some sweet cash without having to run like a crazy person to make sure that we have 2 weddings going on a weekend. So that's pretty, and people will pay for that convenience. But she's smart in the aspect of the farm's not doing well. We need to figure out what other income we can bring in to supplement the farm because she's running the farm, but who's getting the money? Dad, because he's got the land. Here's another thing that she did that I don't particularly love, and a lot of you are doing this. You are building buildings on mom and dad's ground. I don't particularly love that. If you're going to be building a building, I would like for it to be on your ground, or at least have some sort of plan that says, yes, I'm going to get this. And she put up a brand new building that's quite expensive for the operation on Dad's ground. Now, she pretty much knows that her siblings aren't going to get anything, but I would want to be certain that I'm not going to have to buy that again. Right? Because if there's some sort of miscommunication within the family, we need to have something that says, I am not buying that building again. I already bought it the first time. So, but she's younger and she can do the FSA loan, so it makes sense for her to do it. Let's just make sure that we're protecting ourselves. No different than the last gal that I talked about on her boyfriend's land. Doesn't matter if it's your boyfriend's or whose. Right? We just want to make sure that we're not losing any money that we stick in. Oh my gosh, Bruce. You are hours on the road. Hey, Brent. No, we have not gotten a lot. We got a little bit of rain 2 weekends ago, and then we've had snow on and off, but for the most part, we haven't had much either. We need some moisture. It's supposed to snow and rain again this weekend, which I will take again. Then the last guy I met with him 3 years ago, so I had two of those guys again this week. Every week I seem to have one or two people that I've met with before that are ready to come back. This situation is pretty interesting, though. When I met with him the first time, I didn't quite maybe understand the dynamics of what was going on in the family, but he was farming with Dad and Uncle, and Dad and Uncle just expected him to do absolutely everything and really counted on him for everything and said, you know what, we don't want anything, but we want all the money. And we're not going to listen to you, but you handle everything. And so he just said, you know what, I'm done. That's absolutely ridiculous. This is not being run the way I need it to be run. They're difficult, one or the other was difficult to work with. And so he said, I'm done. I'm buying you out. So they farmed, and then they have another entity of, they have other things that they do. And so he said, I'm going to buy this other stuff out, and I'm going to do that, and I'm not going to farm because prices are low and it just doesn't make sense. He's always running his numbers. He's like, I don't own the equipment. I don't own the land. This doesn't make sense to do it. If you guys are going to micromanage me, I'm not doing it. So he walked away from the land, is buying the other operation, handling that himself. And, he's doing very, very well, making lots of money. And now he gets to decide what he wants to do with the land. They're like, I can't believe you're not going to farm it. Like, why wouldn't you farm it? He's like, it doesn't financially make sense right now. I don't have the time. I'm running this other side of the operation that I just bought. I'm not going to do too many things to stretch myself out and not make the money. The kicker here is they still expect him to deal with all the guys that are renting the land. Well, for nothing. He's not getting anything from that. He's been the manager, right? So you can't expect somebody to be a manager without some sort of income attached to that. Or some sort of something at the end that says, okay, if you manage it, you can get it at a discounted price, or you don't have to buy out siblings or what have you. But seriously? You can't just expect the kid to just take over and you give them nothing but grief. Like, that's not going to work. Once it's cleaned up and the sale and everything goes through, he'll be okay. he is very adamant on this is not going to continue this way because it's very stressful for him. So it may not be stressful for anybody else, but if it's stressful for the person that's managing it, we need to kind of pay attention to that and say, oh, okay, well, is that something that we can fix, that we can remedy, that we can sit down and talk about, that we can maybe throw him a little bit of cash for his time and his effort. But that was a good meeting. And it was good just to see that so much had changed and he took the steps to change that. But he was not going to start something 3 years ago with everybody being involved and him not having the control he needed to start something. The entity that he is running right now is making a lot of money. And so it's just a matter of, where did we start? I'm not going to take a few $100,000 and stick it into a policy, and then commodity prices fall out of that particular entity, and now all of a sudden we have to figure out, what do we do next? We can't pay the premium. So in that scenario too, again, I'm super duper conservative, so we're going to go in a little bit smaller, and then we're just going to add policies as we go to make sure that we're not overextended. That is one thing that I see so often, is that people want to jump in with both feet, and a typical agent would say, oh, that's a great idea. Well, if you understand farming, that's not a great idea. Not always do we want to be jumping head first and hoping that, oh, well, we'll always be able to pay that, because we have to be able to pay that premium. If we don't, we lose the policy. There are other people in the farm industry that I have heard of that are using this concept, and they're saying, well, if you can't start at, $20,000, don't bother. Oh, for cripe's sake. Seriously? You know how many policies I start under $20,000? A ton of them. Because $20,000 is a lot of money if we are not making a huge profit and we don't know where we're at, or where we're going to be financially from year to year. If you are marketing grain or marketing whatever, that's a different story. Not everybody is in a position where they can market stuff. I just had a guy this week who he is starting to grow some hemp. And it was interesting because, we had it all planned out. 6 weeks ago when we started the application process, we had it all planned out. This is how much he's going to pay. It's going to be great, yada, yada, yada. Well, guess what? In the meantime, the person helping him did not water his hemp plants. So now we have a complete loss of a crop. Going to take us longer to have that money. The investor is not forking over money, doesn't want to do anything anymore. And so everything changed in 6 weeks. And that happens a lot. From the time I talk to people to the time we get an approval is about 4 to 6 weeks. In that time frame, it's unbelievable the amount of stuff that happens that, oh, this didn't come through, or we lost money here, or we needed to buy this, or somebody had land come in that they needed to sell right away, or was presented to us and we needed to buy the land because it would be stupid not to. Okay, that's a good thing it happened in this time frame, so we can make that adjustment on premium and not go big or go home. The go big and go home people scare me, because I've had a couple of them in the past that I've allowed them to go big or go home, and guess what? We went home. It didn't work out, and we've struggled along the way. And so I don't like that struggle. Nelson had 49 life insurance policies. There is no reason that we cannot have more than one life insurance policy. We will just start again when the time is right. So it was awesome that he waited so that he had the control. Okay. Let me see. Oh, Stasha. One day, Stasha, one day. Good morning, Lindsay. You're welcome, Stasha. Look, now I'm seeing some new stuff again. Okay. That is good morning from Alabama. Hey, David. Hey, Dave. I didn't say hi to you yet this morning if you're still on. Okay, that is what I had for the week. If you guys know the drill. If you have questions, if you have comments, please message me here, email me. I am happy to answer those. Otherwise, that was the week in a nutshell. I will be here again next week, and you guys have a fantastic weekend.